is there anything you wish you knew before you started this journey that maybe would have made things a little
Yeah.
bit simpler, easier, faster?
So a friend of mine told me this. He had been high up in a company, a brand, a web brand that everybody would know.
Mm.
He said, Chris, first time founders focus on product. Second time founders focus on distribution. And I was like, okay, advice taken. We end up with a product last year that has a 9.8 net promoter score, which is very high, like products over the top.
Mhm.
Distribution, not so much. So even though he told me not to do it, that was the mistake. So I would advise people, like, of course, deliver great value, the best value you can with your product. That's a great
Mhm.
way to stand out and sleep at night. But focus as much, if not more, on your marketing, on your sales, on your business development, on your outbound, on your affiliate relationships, on your distribution.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Learning podcast. My guest here today is Chris Daigle, who is the CEO and co-founder of Chief AI Officer. Chris, welcome.
Thank you so much.
I'm excited to have you here today, Chris, because there has been so much talk from many conversations that I've had about AI, and obviously it's such a buzzword nowadays. So I would love for you to tell everyone a little bit more about Chief AI Officer, who you guys are, and what you do, first of all.
Sure. We train and certify non-technical business professionals to be an AI expert or chief AI officer, teach businesses how to use it in their business. And we actually do services. We go and take our chief AI officers that we've trained and we place them in companies to help them start answering the AI question. What are we going to do about AI?
Yeah, awesome. And I would love to just hit you with a very quick question as well about that, which is, why not just use ChatGPT, do its own thing, prompt it as much as you can, and just kind of work that way? What's the difference in what you guys are doing?
So we are focused on companies that maybe already are using ChatGPT, but they haven't thought about the bigger picture of how do we introduce it into an entire like department or something like that. But honestly, most companies they don't even have that many ChatGPT users beyond, hey, help me write an email or help me summarize something. The kind of stuff that we are focused on is it's the cool stuff.
I think, and I find it so interesting that it's exactly as you said. All these companies are using ChatGPT or whatever other AIs. It's just that they're not using it to its fullest potential because there's so much that can be used. In one, obviously leveraging time, being able to buy back some of your time, but also being able to create a lot faster, being able to use strategies, being able to automate the back end of a lot of departments, which is so interesting that this AI, the buzzword, it's all thought of in the generative side of things, but not in the management, in the back side of things. So when you're speaking with companies who are, when you're speaking with companies to obviously help them in their own avenues, in their own industries, what do you think is the biggest thing that, or the biggest misunderstanding, the biggest misconception about when it comes to AI and how it could be applied to business?
So it's interesting. Yes, AI, that's what we do. We bring it into companies. But what we're finding is that most companies, like, they could use from just some process improvement regardless. It's got nothing to do with AI. And I've been inside enough companies to know that it's a common thing. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it was a problem with or challenges that they've got about or misconceptions about AI. It's more about misconceptions about their own business, honestly.
Interesting. And do you think that kind of translates into this efficiency with processes, with systems, is not allowing them to then leverage AI as they wish because of the actual foundation is not there?
So what we do and what we teach is evaluate process. We do a really good job of like process mining and process mapping, really understanding how something, this deliverable, how am I arriving at that deliverable? And we don't just look to introduce AI or automations into that. We evaluate that with the models, with LLMs, to identify how can we optimize the process with the intention of introducing Gen AI and stuff like that. And I think that's the thing, is that the process that they're doing may benefit from some more intelligent design. But when you do that and AI, it's like they're not just going, oh, now it's better. It's like, oh my gosh, this is completely better. So fewer resources, faster production time, higher integrity output, whatever.
Yeah. Is there anything that you can pinpoint, or any part of being able to use AI that people aren't really familiar with, or maybe a little bit off, um, unusual, that you think is a very high leverage activity, but not a lot of people think about?
As Henry Ford said, thinking is hard work. That's why many people don't do it.
Hmm.
So I think that's the thing that's missing is, sure, summarizing an article and stuff that saves me time. That's awesome, and
Sure.
and it's a good use of it. However, I don't think enough people are using it to really dive deep on a concept or thought. Like, for instance, like strategy. Like,
Sure.
um, here's my business. Here's all the details about my business or my role, and these are my goals. And how can I get there faster? Gives you the output, right? And it's like,
Hmm.
huh. And then having the comfort and being trained to think in AI and be able to go take that and then go, okay, dive deeper and
Hmm.
dive deeper and dive deeper, right? Like, and that's where the real, certainly like saving me time, using AI to save me time is
Sure.
great. But the real mind blowing stuff happens when you are able to start asking bigger questions than,
Hmm.
tell me about this article. It's like, tell me about my career. Tell me about,
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
business. Like, what do you see? Like, how can I do it better? Or what should I be doing? Give me
Hmm.
10 ways that are non-traditional approaches to this. Like, just getting really creative with it results in you, um, like having breakthrough, like understanding what artificial intelligence really is. It's like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, that's incredible. Most people are using it like, we call it candy, right? Like, oh, look at this trick I can do, right? But
Yeah.
the real impact of it is it's like multiple levels past that.
Mm. Yeah. And ask better questions, you get better answers.
Yeah.
Like, how do you keep asking those questions over and over and over again?
Tell it. I don't know what to ask you. What
Yeah.
questions should I ask you? Right. Like,
Yeah.
even knowing that you can start at zero and go, you tell me, what should I be asking? And it goes,
Hmm. Yeah,
right.
and that's so funny you bring that up too, because I've had many conversations with past clients, and they were saying, yeah, we use ChatGPT, and I was like, do you know that you can get it to ask you questions? And they were like, oh no, I didn't. And it's like, there's so many layers that could
Um,
actually start appearing and actually
yeah.
help so many parts of the business. And yeah, it's so interesting that people are often unaware of that. And for you guys as a business, when it comes to creating trust, because I think there's often a lack of trust with so many things going on and everybody speaking about AI. How are you guys able to create that trust to customers coming on and obviously buying your services and product?
Sure. So first, I'll tell you my position on it,
Sure.
and the way that because it comes up all the time. These LLMs outside of DeepSeek, I guess, which, sorry, China, I'm not going to get too intimate with um, an LLM that is in that environment, right?
Sure.
With their known disregard for IP and things like that. The rest of them, the US based models, they're for profit businesses, even though OpenAI is, currently a nonprofit. They're wanting to switch to a for profit. So
Mm.
they have financial incentive behind their efforts. If they were to do something that had somebody go on X or Twitter and go, hey, OpenAI just like, I entered my data and it popped up in somebody else's threads or something, right?
Mm.
That would cause them to be less viable in the financial environment, right? I don't trust them anymore. I'm going to go to Gemini. I'm going to go to
Mm.
Claude, right? If it was OpenAI or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it to them when they can go and scrape data and make synthetic data to train their models to. So when they say we're not using your information to train our model, I think the financial incentives are aligned,
Hmm.
right? Now, as far as for companies, what we teach them are two steps. The first is training. And I want you to, if you're a business owner listening to this, I want you to think about it like my daughter's twin daughters just went and got their license. They had to take a written test to demonstrate that they understood the concepts well enough before they got behind the wheel. We approach it the same way with companies. Train your people on what it is, what it isn't, the risks of it, what is a prompt, like the basics, and then give them access to the tools, right? Mm-hmm. If you do that, you have an agreement through a use policy or use guidelines with your employees that you will not do this and you will do that. I mean, people, do all kinds of crazy stuff at work. You can't control them, but there's a meeting of the minds. This is how we want you to use it. This is how we don't want you to use it. Now go use it. Violate that, there are consequences. Outside of that, obviously, have the legal counsel look at it. But I think that, it's a specialty that in law. So if your general counsel or your favorite attorney doesn't sound like they know what they're doing, they probably don't. So go find a specialist to at least just review, like, hey, what do we need to do to stay safe? For our company, we have errors and omissions insurance, and we have the appropriate insurances to cover human gaffes. But and we're cautious, like we anonymize data. That's a tip. If you're going to throw some financials or information into a thread, just remove any personally identifying information from it. And at that point, it really is just data. Even if the Big Brother OpenAI was creeping on your data, it wouldn't know. It doesn't know who this number means, this company's earnings or anything. So, and honestly, if you're that interested in this, go to Perplexity and ask Perplexity, like, hey, we're thinking about using generative AI in our business, but we don't want to run afoul of any compliance or, legal issues. What should we do? Doesn't mean it's a substitution for the attorney, but it is going to, you will go to the attorney with specific questions rather than going like, I don't know. Save yourself, I don't know, depending on the attorney, a couple grand maybe. That's how I
think it's so. Yeah, you brought up Perplexity. I think Perplexity is such a hidden gem that people don't know about. It's become my new Google. It's so awesome. But I want to understand it. I'm not sure I quite understand that how, when it comes to the effect of your business then for people coming on and obviously you wanting to do business with new prospects, maybe what are some so I'll try to ask the question a little bit differently. What are some of the challenges in being able to create those relationships and obviously bring more clients into the company?
So for anybody listening, first, happy to sign NDAs with your company and that sort of thing. We're not interested in, and we got our own business that we're running.
Sure.
Hold on a second. But we focus on a very specific area of the business. It's called SG&A, sales, general, and administrative. It's the operational side of the human capital side, primarily of a business, that in the U.S. accounts for 25 to 40% of most businesses' overheads. The reason that we focus there is because every business hires people and pays people and settles accounts and services customers and sells and markets. So we don't need industry-specific expertise. Right?
Yeah, of course.
So that's the areas that we focus, and those areas don't necessarily deal with company secrets or IP. So, certainly on the financial side, but so there's not really a whole lot of stuff that we would be uploading from our client companies in order to work with a model outside of, hey, here's a process. Or here's a conversation that we just had with a client where we were getting clarification on a project that we're working on. Here's the transcript. Like that stuff is there's no risk there, right? We're not uploading a company's financials, or we're not uploading, their patents to evaluate or anything like that. Sure. We're really just focused on, a lot of what we do is introducing AI into poor processes.
And how do those companies usually find out about you guys?
Well, we're fortunate to have been able to purchase a premium domain, ChiefAIOfficer.com. So we have the RB2B code snippet on our site, which basically, so you know what it is.
Yeah. For those that don't know, maybe a quick explanation.
Sure. It's a code snippet from a company called RB2B.com. And when somebody lands on your website, it can send you a message or update a Slack channel and say, hey, this person, and it draws the information primarily from their LinkedIn profile. So it's interesting to see who's coming to your site, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I see the people that come to our site, and there are clients that go to, they Google Chief AI Officer, they Google AI solutions.
Sure.
But a lot of what we do is we've built relationships with private equity and venture capital firms that have investments in a number of companies, portfolio of companies. And what my approach is to work with the firms themselves and then say, which of your companies are in the most pain? Let's start there. We'll bring AI into that business. And what it does is by getting one or two wins within a portfolio, it opens up the rest of those companies.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
To say, hey, I want to do what they're doing, because they're all kind of like sister companies. They're all co-invested, by the same. So that's where we've been getting a lot. Well, and now there's referrals. Like all of a sudden we're getting, this is the year, like I thought for sure last year, we weren't, luckily it didn't happen because we weren't ready with the services side. But at this point we've trained enough people have come through our program to become a chief AI officer or an AI expert that we've got a number of fractional, like we've got a few hundred fractional opportunities to work with chief AI officers, so that if something comes up, I can say, hey, I go to the community and say, hey, I've got a new project. And we have a whole framework for deployment, so they don't have to start from scratch. But they can come in and we've got the one thing, our ecosystem, our community has the one thing that's missing in the marketplace, and that is access to talent. Not a data scientist, not a, somebody going to fine tune an LLM, but somebody who understands business and understands AI. And they can come into business and they can say, I understand how a business operates. I mean, we've got, scientists and CFOs and MDs and MBAs and, like solopreneurs. We've got the full gamut of people who I would feel comfortable working with to go and introduce solutions to our. So,
yeah, that's a cool strategy. I like that, and it's interesting. It sounds like the organic word of mouth referral. It's been like a big part of that thing. Is there any, I guess, outbound, inbound, pay traffic, anything involved on that side of things as well, or
not on the services side, but for enrolling students in our certification program, we actively educate. We're sponsoring the EOS conference, if anybody knows what that is, in April. We're going to be in DC. We just sponsored an EO AI conference with 2,000 registrants from around the world. We do a weekly 3-hour challenge, the AI Authority Challenge, to help people kind of understand the pathway to learning the stuff, but learning it and being established as an authority, which opens up opportunities. We do that every week.
Awesome.
We run paid ads. We have a very active community. It's got free level that's very valuable, free and paid. So we've got, at this point, we've been working hard at it for 2 years. So it's the flywheel starting to turn, and
the snowball effect comes into
the snowball effect starting to happen.
For sure. Yeah. And it's funny you bring EOS up. I actually spoke with Kelly, who's the CEO. For one of
Kelly Knight.
So I actually spoke with her as well. It wasn't for the podcast. It was before we started the podcast. But I mentioned to you, we did a white paper, and we actually spoke with her for there, which is awesome. We had a great conversation.
Yeah.
So it was great meeting her as well. Kelly is awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, Kelly is awesome. And for you, Chris, I know that you mentioned like it's a lot of work being done, and then now it's kind of everything is coming to fruition. Is there anything you wish you knew before you started this journey that maybe would have made things a little bit simpler, easier, faster?
So a friend of mine told me this. He had been high up in a company, a web brand that everybody would know. He said, Chris, first-time founders focus on product. Second-time founders focus on distribution. And I was like, okay, advice taken. We end up with a product last year that has a 9.8 net promoter score, which is very high, like products over the top. Distribution, not so much. So even though he told me not to do it, that was the mistake. So I would advise people, like, of course, deliver great value, the best value you can with your product. That's a great way to stand out and sleep at night. but focus as much, if not more, on your marketing, on your sales, on your business development, on your outbound, on your affiliate relationships, on your, like your distribution. And my advice there would be just as the example I shared with, why don't I go find onesie twosie companies? Because I can go to a portfolio and they've got 20, right? So in my career, I've always call it whale hunting. I'm not a whale hater, it's just a term. But I always looked for, if I've got a product, who's aggregated that audience already? Is it an industry association? Is it a Facebook or LinkedIn group that's got, 500,000 members? Who is it? A media site, whatever. Go there rather than try to compete with them in the marketplace for eyeballs or ads or attention. They've already done the hard work. Start there. Hey, let's do a deal. How much do I have to pay you to get in front of your audience? Right. And that would be my advice. The distribution, but don't start yourself. Go find the people who already have the eyeballs you want.
Yeah, that's great advice. And how is distribution a challenge for you guys? How is that an obstacle coming in?
Honestly, didn't have enough butts and seats, and I think that we bootstrapped. We took a little bit of investment, but primarily bootstrapped. And if we would have had more financial runway, we would have spent the money. Let me just be honest. It would have gotten spent while we learned lessons. So I think that we needed to go through the lessons of last year in order to be good stewards of the velocity that's approaching our business.
Sure. Yeah. It's the unteachable lessons, which you hear over and over. And you're like, I got it. And then you actually have to go through and you're like, oh, I should have listened the first time.
100%.
Yeah. I have two more questions here for you, Chris. One is a question that I've been asking everybody, and then we'll go on to the next. But let's say you had a magic wand and you could just wave this wand and fix one thing in the business. Oftentimes there are many things you'd like to fix, but just one thing that would help you achieve all your goals for growth much, much faster. What would you want to solve in the business? One thing.
Right people, but I think we're there now. Like as of this last call that I had, I think that we've got an A team assembled.
So what's the next problem if that one's solved?
Always open to partnerships, and as I mentioned, business development's my thing. So if anybody's got distribution out there and they think that, look, our stuff is legit, right? Like we've had 3 refunds out of hundreds of sales, and those were for life situations, not even like our product changes lives.
Awesome.
But it would be like if you've got an audience, always want more distribution, more run.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. And then last question here for you, Chris. It's actually not a question from me. It's a question from the last guest to you. And they had no idea who you were. So you ready for the question?
I am.
All right. What brings you the most joy in your life, and why aren't you doing more of it?
Great question. I would say that I do everything for my family, personal satisfaction for sure, but I don't want to flash and like, I'm not doing this for to ball or anything like that. Right. The reason that I'm not doing it more is I have made a choice, and the choice is I am taking a amount of time to build this business because I've got 100% certainty this is going to be a fantastic success beyond what my original intention was when I started the business. I'm going to do that intensely, thoroughly, robustly for the next, at this point, probably only maybe 12 to 18 months max. So that for the rest of my life, the demands that pull people away from their family, which are usually related to war or, like I need to go make money, I won't have to do that anymore. And then all my time can be spent with my family. And so I'm doing it, but I'm not doing it I'm not doing a half seat, like 50-50. I'm all in on this right now.
It's intent.
So that I can be all in on what does, honestly, the business makes me, like the personal satisfaction that has come from the growth that was required to get to this point has been huge reward.
Amazing. I really resonate with that message. I think having family is so important. And oftentimes there have to be sacrifices in the way of like, it's only for now, because I know that in the long term everything will pay off, and then we'll be where we want to be. But Chris, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you for
Where
the.
can people go if they want to learn a little bit more about you, or maybe a little bit more about Chief AI Officer?
I'm on LinkedIn. I communicate regularly there. We post all the time with great content about AI, or you can join our community for free. It's chiefaiofficer.com/community. And there's lively conversation. There's not a bunch of BS in there. It's non-technical business people that are, excited about AI and talking about how they're using it in businesses and clients and, shortcuts there, all the cool stuff. So go there.
Awesome. Chris, thank you so much for your time.
Later, alligator. See you, man.